It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Happy holidays, folks. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year, and there's a lot to talk about this week because I did a bunch of stuff in World of Warcraft PC Edition 2004. As I said last week, I'm on vacation from work and I'm going to be spending a lot more time in-game, and that's exactly what I did. I played a bunch of different characters. I have no idea how anyone decides how to play alts, and I've never been more stressed out while healing. I also got a bunch of achievement points for nothing, so let's talk about it. Starting off on my warrior, he got up a couple more item levels to 628.37. I had a mythic cloak in my vault that replaced my heroic. I also learned this week that you can socket your neck and your rings up to 2 times each, so I filled up on a bunch of gems this week. And with that, I jumped into probably another half a dozen Siege of Borealis groups until I finally found a group who didn't just complete the dungeon on time, but we 2-chested that mother trucker. So my Mythic Plus rating went up by 31 and I'm ending it at 2618. So I'm ending this season having timed a 10 in every single dungeon. I've unlocked all of my portals, and funny enough, the Siege of Borealis, the one that took me the longest, is actually my best key. I'm really proud of myself. I'm really happy about this. I never thought I'd be somebody who ran Mythic Plus as much as I did this season. And I've actually enjoyed it. It hasn't been that bad. I enjoy seeing myself improve week to week and trying to figure out once again how to be a better player, which I haven't really done since I think Legion or BFA when I was last rating. I may or may not try higher keys. I don't really know, but we'll see. Riding that high, I went back into delves this week, and the last I think 5 tier 11 delves that I had not yet completed, I did those as well. It did feel a little bit easier for the most part. There were still some pulls where I was just getting trucked just by melee hits, which were really frustrating. Nightfall Sanctum is definitely the hardest of all the delves at a tier 11. That was the one where even if I was pulling one mob, I had to wait for all of my cooldowns to be up just in case I needed them. So Mycomancer, Skittering Breach, and Dreadpit were all pretty easy. Attack Rathan was relatively easy, but once I got to the last boss, I knew it was for sure a win because that last boss is super easy. But as far as progression in delves, that's it. I've done all of it. And that's exciting because of the amount of times I've bashed my head against a wall thinking, how is anyone supposed to do this when I'm getting like one shot by auto attacks? So glad that that's finally over. I can focus on doing tier 8s to try to get Brand to level 60. He's around level 56 and a quarter, so still quite a ways to go. And then of course I still have like 400 of the bountiful coffers to open. Having essentially finished up on my warrior, I was a lot more open to now logging onto my alts and doing stuff on them. Before I talk about that though, I have no idea how anybody actively plays multiple alts. Even though I'm pretty much done the stuff I wanted to do on my warrior, I was still logging onto those alts and still felt this sense of, yeah, but I could be doing other stuff on my warrior. And when I was on my paladin, I was thinking, well, I could also be on my shaman. And if I was on my shaman, I was like, well, I could be on my paladin. I don't know how anybody decides how to play which alt, and I don't know how you dedicate enough time to actually do anything on them. Like I'd queue up for LFR or do these Mythic Pluses on my Paladin, and then at the end of it, I'd want a break. I'm kind of burnt out. I want to go do something else now. I don't know how any of you maintain multiple characters. It just blows my mind. Like I'm legitimately asking, how do you figure out and how do you plan what to do? How do you spread out your time amongst your characters? But my Paladin and my Shaman both, they were able to get 584 gear with the Siren Isle, which I'll talk about shortly. Boosted up their item levels, and I immediately started queuing up for LFR just to kind of refamiliarize myself, specifically with my Paladin, but learn the class on my Shaman. And then I jumped into Mythics, and I was able to do all 4 dungeons from The War Within in Season 1. Overall, it wasn't that bad. I was doing lower keys, but I was still kind of in this limbo of, if I'm taking a lot of damage, I don't know for sure what I need to press. So I'm stuck in this like shock and panic of I need to press something, but I don't know what to press, so therefore I'm not pressing anything. And that'll stop the more I play the class, but it was definitely a little bit difficult at some points to maintain confidence, I guess, in my tanking. And then on my Shaman, I just want to take a second here to apologize to every healer who I have ever inconvenienced even a little bit. I have never been more stressed out than when I was playing my Shaman. I was talking about that paralysis of not knowing what to press and when on my Paladin. That was tenfold on my Shaman. I was so stressed. I had to pause my music because I had to focus. On him as well, I went into LFR and then did all 4 dungeons as well. So on DPS, heals, and tank, I now have all the 4 dungeons done for this season, so just should be getting those achievements next season. But man, I was just so lost. Everyone's taking damage all the time. I don't know from what even. My heals still feel like they do nothing. I'm a level 20 who feels like I'm trying to get a level 80 up to max. Like I just cannot keep these people up. By the end of all the runs, I was getting the hang of it, so more time will hopefully make that easier, but just still, I don't know what to do because people's health is just not going up. And while I was playing my shaman, I remembered my friend Jason, who started playing WoW in Warlords of Draenor. He played for a few months, and we brought him into the High Maul raid. It was just another day in the office for us, but I remember the next day at work, he was like, dude, I don't know how you guys do that. Like, you're sitting there cracking jokes, talking while you're playing, dodging all these mechanics, doing your rotation. He was saying he needed absolute silence, he needed a hyper focus on what he was doing, and he had no idea what to do. Like me, he was kind of stuck in the paralysis of, do I move out of this mechanic or do I finish my Frostbolt? So it was nice to get a new perspective of the game, and it definitely made me appreciate healers a whole lot more and makes me want to, on my warrior, not take more damage than I need to and use my defensives better because that sucked. And then the last alt that I played was my Frost Mage. I ran him through a bunch of time walking. I got him up to level 77. I imagine I'll probably get him to 80 this week and then just use a Siren Isle to gear him up to 584. Speaking of the Siren Isle, I went in there for the first time on Wednesday, and I'm kind of neutral on it. I don't really have an opinion one way or another. It seems fine. There's not really much to do, and I think that's kind of the point. It's not really supposed to be this big thing. The ring was pretty easy to get, and I like how easy it is to get on alts. It's like a 4-minute thing. The one thing I am really happy about, and I do want to give a shout out to Blizzard, is the catch-up mechanic for gear. You can buy specific pieces of equipment for very cheap, and the currency that you need to buy it, you just get so much of it. So I'm really happy that they made it super easy to do that. Well done, Blizzard. Moving into achievements, I started the week at 42,205 and I'm ending it at 42,845, so an increase of 640 points. I have no idea where I got the majority of these points from. When I logged in on my warrior, I got a bunch of achievements that I assumed were just another bug of me getting achievements. So I don't know where my points came from because the points that I got were from achievements that I already had. So I'm not going to complain, but just not sure where I got these points from. Like I mentioned earlier, I completed all the tier 11 delves with lives remaining, so I was able to get that achievement done. But the big achievement was the BFA meta achievement. I excitedly logged onto my warrior on Tuesday and I didn't have it. And I was a little bit sad, to be honest. I was really excited to have that on day one. So I looked it up to see what am I missing, and there was one achievement that I was missing, some Lore Master achievement. And I was confused because I was pretty certain I already had this, so I wasn't sure why I wasn't getting credit, but I was like, okay, that sucks. Let's go finish that, I guess. So I logged off of my warrior and logged into my Alliance Shaman, and I wasn't expecting anything, but as soon as I logged in, I got the achievement for the BFA meta. I guess I needed to log into both an Alliance and a Horde character, that's why the recording here was a little bit delayed. So very excited about that. And from there, we'll go into the mounts of the week. So I got the Honeyback Hive Mother, which is from the I'm on Island Time achievement. This is part of the BFA meta, just a quest exploration type of achievement. And this mount looks really cool. The bees in general look nice, but this black one just looks awesome. And then of course, I got Janny's Trash Pile from the BFA meta itself. This has now become my permanent ground mount for the time being. It's adorable, it's awesome, and I love the way that I can still see my weapons. And then a couple other ones from Time Walking, I got the Broodling of Sinestra. This one is kind of annoying because it feels like a ripoff of the Three Drakes Sartharian mount. And then again from Time Walking, I got the Sandy Shalewing mount, which based on the wording of it is available in all Time Walking vendors, so not specific to Kata, but I got that as well. In other news, last year I ate a little bit too much McDonald's for my liking, so I swore it off for a year and said that once I get on vacation this year, I can have it again. For the most part, the year went by fine and I didn't think about it at all until about October, where I started to literally taste a Big Mac just randomly. So the last couple of months have been a little bit more difficult than I would have liked, but I made it to my vacation and I finally got myself some McDonald's this past week, and I went all in with what my typical order was by the time I stopped eating McDonald's, which was a Big Mac with supersized fries, a McChicken, a quarter pounder with cheese, a cheeseburger, and Ted McNuggets with sweet and sour sauce because that's the only sauce you should be getting. And actually, I also got a McGriddle in the morning as well. But I devoured this meal, except for the quarter pounder, because for some reason it had a very uncooked beef taste to it, which was nauseating. So I took one bite and then stopped. But outside of that, I finished it all and it was so good. And I might do that every year now. It's not my favorite fast food, but it is a classic. So I was so happy to finally have that. Spent a lot of time watching stuff this week, so I finished up Demon Slayer Seasons 3 and 4. Season 3 was okay, the latter half was definitely much better, and the finale was just fantastic with Nezuko and Tanjiro. That was awesome. Season 4 was definitely the most boring of them all, but it sets up an incredible Season 5, which apparently is just going to be multiple movies. So I wasn't a fan of that season, but I am stoked for what they've got set up because it could be incredible. From there, I watched Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. If you're not familiar, it's the story of what happens to Rick after he gets picked up from the bridge in The Walking Dead. It was nice to see Andrew Lincoln back as Rick, and overall, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. It definitely seems like a one and done type of show, so I'm not complaining. The ending was pretty good, so thumbs up. And then I watched my second favorite Christmas movie this week, Home Alone. It's just a classic. It's so good. It's got some heartfelt moments in it, and the overall message is nice. But it's not as nice as my favorite Christmas movie of all time, which is The Grinch. I'll be watching that this week. Every year I will watch the Jim Carrey movie, followed up immediately by the 1970s, I think, cartoon. And then right when that cartoon ends, it's dinner time for my family. I always time it that way, and it's just been a tradition since I was a kid. I love The Grinch. I absolutely love the message that it has. That Christmas is not in a box. It's all about the people you share it with. So it chokes me up every year, and I love it, and I'm very excited to watch that again. But that is it for me. That is all the stuff that I wanted to talk about this week. Happy and safe holidays to all of you. Hope you all have a fantastic week, whatever you celebrate. Let me know what you've got going on for the holidays, or what you're doing in-game, what you like, what you don't like, what you think of the Siren Isle. Anything and everything, let me know in the comments what's going on in your world. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up because it does help my channel and I will love you very much. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic week. I love you lots. Happy holidays once again. Take care.